Welcome to yet another episode of Podcast Affirmation with Uboniso Wagagazu, professionally known as Miss B. Today we are joined by a very, very special guest. He was born on the 26th of August, 1959, and I believe he is a Virgo. I stand to be corrected. He's a South African politician, an entrepreneur, and a current president of Action SA. Ladies and gentlemen, guys and girls, please help me welcome Mr. Herman Mashaba.
Thank you so much, Ms. B. What a great privilege and opportunity to really be invited to this podcast, taken by surprise. When I was brought into this room, I said, where are you guys taking me to a slaughterhouse? Not to realize that, no, I'm coming to really have a discussion with you. Yes, absolutely, born 26 August 1959, 63 years now. Can you imagine? I mean, I'm an old man. I'm supposed to be at SASA offices queuing for Selon Ramaphosa's 350 rands, and I'm doing this brutal job that I hate.
Wow.
But one of the most rewarding jobs.
Yes, so you believe in individual freedom. I absolutely love that. Can we talk about the transition from you becoming an entrepreneur to you becoming a politician? And I must say that a couple of people were quite disappointed. Uguti, we look up to this man as an entrepreneur. Now he's diverting into a politician. How did this transition happen?
This transition is built just to really give you a sense. I started my business career at the age of 22. I got married, bought a car, and I became a trader. And the apartheid government said I can't go into business because I'm a black man. And fortunate enough, my grandfather had instilled in me during my youth to be independent, individual freedom, and actually believe in myself. He really instilled this in me. That's why I decided to really go in business as a trader. And at the age of 24, conceived an idea because at the time I was a commission sales rep selling different products. And in 1983, came across a company in Johannesburg that had a brand called Superkel. Okay. So I sold Superkel on a commission basis for 19 months for this company. And I felt vulnerable when I was I was now the top sales the person for this company. I said, no, Herman, you can't do this for this man, for this white guy for the rest of your life. You've got to find a way to manufacture these products, because this industry, it's an industry, beauty industry, it's an industry that's been there forever, and it will always be there for as long as you've got human beings.
Absolutely.
And conceived the idea in 1984, January of 1985, started in a 200 square meter factory, brought in a white guy who was became our production manager, got 30,000 rands funding from a businessman, well-known businessman called Walter Dube in Mabopane. And January of 1985, started in the Harangu industrial area. 14th of February, first invoice of Black Luck made, started selling, which, you know, I remember when I approached Mr. Dube for funding, I said, Mr. Dube, please, we're looking for funding. I said to him, I found a machine to print money.
Wow.
And he didn't believe me. Took us a chance, took a chance to give us 30,000 rands. 30,000 rands, January of 1985, was a lot of money. Was a lot of money. But his funding was very expensive. He was charging us prime plus 10%. Prime in 1985 was in South Africa was 21%. So you can imagine paying 21 plus 10, and we had to pay him back in 3 years.
Yo.
You know what? I paid him back in 7 months.
In 7 months?
Yeah, I paid him back in 7 months. But it doesn't stop there. When I said I found a machine to print money, by 1990, I had my own factory. It's cost me over 10 million rands.
Wow.
I did not owe anyone a cent. Employing people of Harangu, Mabopane and surrounding area, over 200 people, supplying products. Black Luck Me was already a #1 brand in the black hair. So, you know, this was really something I loved doing. I worked hard. I used to be here in Durban at least once a month. You know, before my factory got burned down on the 17th of November, just my clients in Durban would run that factory because I had to ration because the demand was just phenomenal.
So much, yeah.
But and you ask yourself, how did this happen? You know, I'm a capitalist. I love making money. You know, but one thing that I've always been conscious was always, obviously, whatever I do, make sure that you get involved in communities. I built Black Like Me by getting involved in not the traditional marketing, making sure that you run projects that can empower other people. That's really what helped me to really build this brand under difficult circumstances. You can imagine in 1985 when I started Black Like Me as a black man, I still had to carry a reference book moving around because the police were there all the time. It was during the state of emergency. Going into the townships was very difficult, but I managed to navigate all these challenges.
Wow.
Now, 27th April, voted for Nelson Mandela. I was excited with that process because I never, as I was growing up, I never thought we'll see a peaceful transition of my country because of what the National Party had done to divide us along racial lines. Then Nelson Mandela came with this magic, and Desmond Tutu termed this whole new project, the Rainbow Nation. He became the envy of the world. Voted for Thabo Mbeki in 1999, but immediately Thabo Mbeki came into power. That's when I realized that this ANC is not really what I grew up thinking that the way. Started seeing some cracks, started seeing criminality, and that's when I started voting for the other parties, always voting for the DA, until in 2014, for the first time in my life, to take a membership of a political party.
Yeah.
Not with the intention of going into politics, was just to, because more and more of our youth, they were staying away from voting. And when people don't vote, you risk a democratic process.
True.
So I was trying to encourage them. And then that led to 2015 when the DA then approached me to be the mayoral candidate for the city of Johannesburg. And I decided, you know what, Herman, if it's not you, who? Then I had to negotiate with my family, and they gave me the blessing to say, look, we are not running away from this country. This is our country. We want to fight for it. Let's use our privileged position. And yes, then August 2016 became the mayor of the city of Johannesburg for the first time to take ANC out of the city of Johannesburg. But unfortunately, my relationship with the DA lasted for 3 years, and ended up leaving as a result of the DA and ANC planning to come out with a motion of no confidence against me. And that process gave birth to Action SA. Now, here we are. I'm a full-blown politician, unemployed, working hard, working with great South Africans, and I think today's event that our provincial chairperson, Mr. Ngongo, organized here, honestly, it's really one of those emotional moments of my life, because when this project started, I've always been a strong believer that everything that I do it to win. That's what my grandfather instilled in me. He says, everything that you do it to win. But I'm overwhelmed, I'm humbled, and I can't really actually wait to have a meeting with all our provincial chairpersons, because come 2024, Action SA is going to contest all 9 provinces. I can't wait to share with them the experience of what KZN has done, what our new provincial chairperson has done, that we must actually use this as a blueprint, use this as an example of attracting like-minded South Africans, because 18 months down the line, we have to remove ANC from power come 2024.
We will touch base on that. So can you just go back to Democratic Alliance, right? So you promised a lot of changes, and you did with the help of EFF. Am I correct?
Absolutely. I
Yes.
think EFF, without the EFF, the success that I achieved in the 3 years in the city of Johannesburg, the EFF were the most supportive. Because I did not join politics to really be a party animal. I joined politics to serve society, more especially the poor and the marginalized. And DA was against this. Wanted me to go and cut grass in Sandton, not to worry about people with no toilets living in squatter camps in squalor. And that created a challenge between the DA and I. And fortunately enough, the EFF was really very supportive, and I really give a lot of respect to them for the support that they gave me to really be able to run for 3 years. Unfortunately, with the DA and ANC coming out with a motion of no confidence, I had no choice. They had the numbers to vote me out, and I decided I'm not going to be pushed, so let me resign. But they made a terrible mistake, because here is it, they now gave birth to Action SA, which is threatening them, is giving them hard time. They hate me with a passion. And it's not really my fault. I'm just really doing my work and do it within the constitutional framework of our country.
Right, so the legacy that you left in the city of Johannesburg, is it still sustainable there?
Very much so. When we as Action SA, after last year's local government elections, when the DA wanted to work with the ANC, to run the city of Johannesburg, Ekurhuleni and so on, I disrupted this. And I actually came to know about this much later, because after the elections, I made it clear I'm not going to go into a coalition with the ANC. And I said to the DA, come and talk to us. Only came to talk to us a week before the elections, before the election of the mayor and the speaker and the chief whip. And 2 days before the first council meeting, DA decided to come out with a press conference to announce that they were going to go out on their own. My goodness. How are they with 71 seats, let's say, to give an example, city of Johannesburg, they dropped from 104 to 71. For you to really be able to govern, you need outright majority. You need 136, because the city of Johannesburg has got 270 councillors. So for you to pass budget, you need the 136 councillors. They've got the 71. How were they going to operate? And I learned later, a few months later, from Gayton McKenzie that DA had a plan with the ANC, that ANC was going to take over Johannesburg, DA to take over Tshwane, and PA to take over the city of Ekurhuleni. But I woke up on that Monday morning very angry, but at the same time, anger was not going to help me solve the problem. I then called other political parties, including the EFF. I said, please, let's stop ANC from taking over the city of Johannesburg, Ekurhuleni and Tshwane. Let's vote the DA into power. And that's exactly what we did. And they've been, since then, up to now, they're doing everything possible to move away from really working with us, because as far as they are concerned, Action SA is a threat to them. Because we are the only political party in this country that appeals to all South Africans. Absolutely. We received support. We contested only in 6 municipalities, receiving support from all communities, from Soweto to Sandton, Waterkloof, Mamelodi, and so on. Only political party in this country with such electoral support, appealing to all South Africans, because we committed to in the creation of an unracial South Africa. And I think today's press conference demonstrated to South Africans,
yes,
when we're saying we are on a mission to create an unracial South Africa. Today's press conference actually demonstrated that.
Absolutely correct. So do you feel that you were maybe ill-treated by EDA, who, let you go when you had done your best to improve, lives of abantu abamnyama, black people in this country?
I felt betrayed. I felt betrayed. It was betrayal, because I did not join politics to serve a certain constituency. More especially when you're in government. Government has got a responsibility to provide services to everyone, more especially the marginalized that ANC has failed. We have the responsibility to ensure that we provide dignity to them, even at local government level. That is why as Action SA we are determined, we're working around the clock to ensure that come 2024, we have to really be the party that's going to form a multi-party government and provide dignity at the national level, so that we can deal with all race-based legislation, where we can deal with all this draconian, what I call draconian labor laws that have destroyed small businesses. We've got to deal with the sovereignty of South Africa, where South Africa, we know and accept and appreciate the fact that South Africa was built at the back of migrants. We must encourage people of the world to come to South Africa, but they must come here legally, and when people are here, they must respect our laws. South Africa is not going to be the country where failed governments outsource that problem to us. We've got 12 million of our own people who are unemployed, living in squalor. So please, those running away from their government to outsource their problem to South Africa, it cannot really be. Give us chance to sort out our own problems. We need good quality education. I need the kids in KwaMashu, Umlazi or Soweto, public schools. Whether a public school is in Sandton or in Umlazi, public school, the facilities must be the same. We must stop the unions, SATU in particular, from being responsible for education of our children. The education of our children, us as government must be responsible for that. We must bring back school inspectors. We must bring God back into our education system, so that we can build families, because we can't build a nation when our families are disintegrating. We need ethical leadership. As Action SA, we are appealing to anyone wanting to join us. Please, South Africans, join us. You are most welcome to really fight for positions. But at the end of the day, don't bring your stomach, put your stomach ahead of society.
Yes.
Put society first. I can tell you society will look after your stomach.
Yeah.
We don't have time and tolerance for those people who put their stomach ahead of civil society. We believe in the rule of law. For us as Action SA, we want, as a matter of agency, once ANC is removed, let's bring back the scorpions. And I think we need to bring them back with more powers, less political interference. If I have my way, come 2024, we want the head of the scorpions not to be appointed by the president. We must find, we will talk to the legal experts to assist us to find a fair system and a transparent system where the head of the scorpions, the head of the National Prosecuting Authority, must be accountable to society, not accountable to the president. This new system of ours, where the president is the one appointing the head of the police and so forth,
Basically
that system does not really work, because then they end up actually being accountable to the president instead of being accountable to civil society. Those are some things that we need to really institute as a matter of agency. You know, I can tell you, and I think sometimes some of my colleagues criticize me, says, please don't jump ahead of our policy conference. I can tell you, if I have my way with the level of crime in our country, I would like to see us as a country, let's talk about bringing back the death penalty. South Africa is in a crisis. I want to see not South Africa having a minister of police. I want to see South Africa having the minister of law and order. Because I don't want to live in a society where 80 people are being murdered every single day. I don't want to live in a society where in 3 months 10,000 women are raped. No. And they're raped by people who go to jail, they come out, commit more crime.
Yeah.
And I don't want to live in a country where government with this ECDs, government spends 37 rands per child to really go into an ECD center. But they spend over 200 rands a month for a prisoner. No, I mean, it can't be. Prisoners, I believe, needs to really work. They must earn their money. They must actually, you go to prison, you must not go to correctional services. I don't believe in correctional services in a country with such high levels of crime. I want people, when they go to prison, they must go to prison and pay back to society. The accommodation that we give them, the meals that we give them, they must work for it. Our infrastructure is broken over the last 28 years by the ANC government. And the only way we can actually fast track the rebuilding of our nation, all these people who are in jail, honestly, they need to really for the accommodation. It can't be free accommodation. We need to build schools. We will take them to build schools in our communities, in our villages, to pay back to society. When you are sentenced to 5 years, know you're going to serve 5 years up to the last day. No parole system. You must do away with parole. If you want parole, don't commit crime. You don't have to go to prison. So this is the kind of South Africa that I want to really live in, so that the next generation, my grandchildren, can actually live in a country where they can walk in the street any time of the day. They can jog in their communities. They don't have to live in gated communities and so forth, because they know that we'll have the government that is going to actually protect them.
You're actually bringing a very interesting point in, that, people in prison are getting it easy and they're getting away with a lot of things, a lot of crime. So as the Action SA president, can you mention like a couple of changes that you would bring if you had to run the entire country?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is we'll have the Department of Law and Order. I'm one, actually, don't like name changing, but I'm asking South Africans if they give us the mandate as Action SA to be government. All this, what we call correctional services, we must immediately convert them into prisons. So that we must do away with this parole system. When you are sentenced to 5 years, you must serve 5 years. And we need to build schools in rural areas, in the townships. Let these people actually provide that kind of service, so that when we provide accommodation to them in the prisons, that we know they earn it. When we provide them 3 meals a day, it's not going to be for free, because we need money to build schools. We need money to provide good quality education. We must bring inspectors. Now, bringing inspectors in schools, we're going to need the resources. I don't have money. This country does not have money to go and feed the prisoners who sit in jail watching television. There's no time to watch television. We must get them to come and build clinics, schools in our community, build roads. That is really what I believe. If we come out with such a system, I'm telling you, next generations are the ones that are going to benefit, because I can tell you, you'll bring down the rule of law. You'll bring South Africa to really be a safe country in the next generation. It's not something that you can turn overnight with the level of crime that is being committed.
Yeah.
But once there's punishments, there are consequences, people will learn.
All right, so you formed the Action SAs and you also promised to take the ANC out of power. How correct is this statement?
Well, just really look at what we did to the ANC in the 3 metros in Gauteng. Unfortunately, here in KZN, we accepted to come and participate in the 3 municipalities at the last minute. Originally, you can look at on the day when I launched Action SA on the 29th of August 2020, I committed to only contest the 3 metros in Gauteng because I knew that the ANC is vulnerable. We are going to knock them down. And we did that. Let me just give you some stats, not polls, stats. In 2016, ANC in Gauteng at 44%. 45%. We brought them now, it is up to 33%. 33%. Wow. They had 125 councillors. They've got 91 councillors right now. In Tshwane, ANC had 44%. They are now down to 34%. In Ekurhuleni, ANC was 48%. They are now sitting at 38%. With the party that contested without our name on the ballot paper. You remember IEC refused at the last minute to put our name on, so just put in the logo.
Yes.
And that system actually robbed us of 60,000 votes.
Exactly.
But we still emerged as the sixth biggest political party out of 276 municipalities. So Action SA is not a small party. We are the officially in South Africa, we are the 6th biggest political party, only contesting 6 municipalities. We achieved just over 550,000 people who voted for us. A party launched during the pandemic, the party that IEC made this contest as a logo. Now, look at come 2024, we are ready in all the 9 provinces. We've got great provincial leaders. You saw what happened today. More and more great South Africans are joining us. That's why I'm convinced that Action SA is going to emerge as the biggest party, if not will be the biggest. And we will form coalition arrangements with other political parties at national level, but we'll never work with the ANC. Over my dead body, that Action SA will work with the ANC.
Sure. Okay. So now on that point, with the 2024 elections, which is not very far, you may have to, co-govern with the ANC.
No, well,
and other small
I'll
parties.
never work. No ways. Herman Mashaba will work will form same government with the ANC, coalesce with the ANC. It's not going to happen. We'd rather go for an election rerun. How can I work with a criminal enterprise? I entered politics, I left my successful business. I'm paying a price to do this job that I hate so that we can remove ANC from government. How can you then expect me to work with the ANC? It's not going to happen. And fortunately enough, our supporters, Action SA, bear this in mind. We were given a mandate by 4.2 million South Africans to start this political party. So 4.2 million South Africans nationally. So, and one of the things that South Africans have said to us on 3 occasions, during the People's Dialogue, after the local government elections, about a month ago, we ran another review. People said, please, they don't want to see ANC anywhere. They says, Mashaba, you go with the ANC, forget about us. So there's just no way that I will betray them. So I just want to really confirm to you and confirm to everyone that Action SA will not go into a coalition with the ANC.
So don't you think that's going to maybe affect the Action SA negatively?
In which way? No, in fact, because South Africans don't want the ANC any longer. In fact, by us actually conveying this to them upfront, but what is important is to live to this. Because I'm telling you, if ever Action SA can go into a coalition with the ANC, it'll be the betrayal of the promise that we've made to people of South Africa.
Sure. So some people perceive Action SA as the extension of the DA. Is that a fair assessment? Mabeti, it's an extension of the DA.
Well, these are people who are very scared of Action SA. From they are very threatened because let me tell you another scenario. The ANC people, obviously, they are threatened because they know black people don't want the DA. So they call us an extension of the DA. And the DA people, Helen Zille as the lead and John Steenhuisen, they call us EFF light. So that they can threaten, because they know their constituency, they're scared of the EFF. So I'm used to this. It is just to really, it's a fear-mongering tactic. But at the end of the day, South Africans know very well that Action SA is a threat to the ANC and the DA. So DA will use the EFF to scare people away from us, and ANC will use the DA to scare people, black people from Action SA. Action SA is a completely independent political party. South Africans are not stupid. South Africans know how Action SA was formed. Was formed out of my frustration with the DA after being betrayed by the DA, working with the ANC to remove me as a mayor of the city of Johannesburg.
Sure. In your presentation today, you mentioned ama values, Action SA. Do you maybe want to repeat them for our subscribers?
Yeah, just really quickly to just take you through. And these are these values, the 4.2 million South Africans, we agreed on this. We want to form we are on a mission to form a non-racial South Africa political party. So, and I think, I don't stand on the fence. Please, if you are looking for a racial party, don't waste our time. Don't come to us. We'd love to really have every South African to really vote for us or be supporters of our party. But if you are looking for a racial party, please don't come to us. We are committed in forming a non-racial South Africa. That is why, as Action SA, we commit when we come into power, we'll do away with all race-based legislation so that all of us as South Africans are treated as South Africans. We believe in a free market economy. So that we can allow businesses, particularly SMMEs, to really be able to operate without being subjected to these draconian laws that's passed by COSATU that killed entrepreneurship. Look at in the townships I grew up and I was inspired to go into business by the Pundate Matlangu, Walter Dubes, the Maponyas and so forth. Today, go into our communities. Black entrepreneur totally annihilated, destroyed. We allowed the people coming from all over the world selling counterfeit, expired goods into our communities. So we need to inculcate a spirit of entrepreneurship back into our communities. We believe in social justice, particularly for the poor. What we are saying is we want to serve everyone. We want to work with privileged South Africans. We want to work with poor people so that we can build a very strong middle class. We don't really compromise. Social justice for us is very important. We believe in quality education. We want to take SATU out of education. South Africa does not need 2 departments of education. We just want one Department of Education. Principals of schools are going to be appointed by us as government. We are going to bring back school inspectors. We want all the teachers that the ANC have decided to retire them. Please come back as school inspectors. We want to every day go to different schools to make sure that the principals and teachers are teaching our children. We want to bring back God into our schools. When I started school in 1966 until my matric in before I went to university, in matric, every morning before we go to class, we go to assembly, we go and pray. That's why we were succeeding. And ANC came in with their communist ideology and tell us not to pray. As actually they say, God is going to come back into the lives of our children. We are not going to force everyone. Those who don't believe, their families don't believe in God. They don't want to come to assembly. Let them go straight to class. But I know 98% of South Africans believe in God in one form or another. Be Christian like me, or you're a Muslim, you're a Jew, you're a Hindu, but ultimately we all believe in God. We believe in ethical leadership. If you want to serve Action SA, as I said to you earlier on, put people ahead of your stomach. Because if you do that, people will look after your stomach. So ethical leadership, don't really play games with us. Don't go in during the time when you're supposed to be a public rep, you go and sell Angolas and buffaloes. You know, we need ethical leadership that actually understand what public service is all about. You know, these are some of the main core of what we as Action SA believe in. If we can achieve this, and we are going to achieve it, you will see in the new year. In fact, our policy unit and team is busy right now. We'll be launching our policy ecosystem, where we want to invite professional South Africans, be in justice, be in education, be in whatever. We want them can you help us to formulate policies for our party? Because us as politicians, tell me, what do I know about good education policies? We want people in education. Please assist us to formulate the best education system for our country. We want people in the legal profession. Please assist us in terms of coming out with the laws that will really speak to the challenges that we are facing. We want those who understand engineering. We need ESCOM to be fixed as a matter of urgency. Please assist us to put an offering to South Africans. And sometime in the middle of next year, we're going to have a massive policy conference where we're going to then be able to really sell to South Africans our offer for 2024.
So speaking of winning votes, like KZN in rural areas, like what's the strategy of winning votes?
Well, the only way we're going to win votes is through voter education. One thing that ANC has done and done successfully is to deprive black people of education and make them poor to rely on this 350. And at the same time, you open the borders for international drug syndicates to bring drugs into our country. So we need voter education. That is why more and more South Africans are staying away. They don't see the value in them, the value in their vote, that their vote actually is the one that can actually change the trajectory of our country. As Action SA, we are involved in a massive scale where we are not just recruiting people to be members of Action SA. We are assisting them to register with the IEC, because right now you don't have to go to IEC offices or wait for IEC voter registration. We have already embarked on that project. We'll take it to the next level the whole of 2023. We'll make sure that we get millions, the 25 plus million South Africans who are not registered. We want to bring them back into the political environment, because through them we'll be able to unseat the ANC and make sure that we can have a new government come 2024.
Yeah, thank you for that. My last question, in your presentation, you also mentioned that our president should just live like leading the country and sell amankole. That's what you mentioned. So do you want to maybe elaborate on that?
Look, I think President Cyril Ramaphosa made it clear from day one when he took over that his priority is the unity of the ANC. And look at it now, a few years down the line. The ANC is more divided than ever before. So that his project of uniting the ANC has spectacularly failed. And secondly, President Cyril Ramaphosa has demonstrated to us as South Africa that being the president of the country is a sideline job for him. It's not what he wants to do. He wants to sell the Angolas and the buffaloes. So we're asking Cyril Ramaphosa, please leave South Africa alone. Give us space. Go and sell your Angolas and your buffaloes, and you can look for other animals as well. You like to be a farmer and deal in foreign currencies. In fact, he likes US dollars. Go and do that job. Allow South Africa or someone else from the ANC to really be the leader of this government, or call for new elections so that South Africa can really move forward. If you are a patriot, you don't like this job. So it's a side job, or your focus is on dealing in foreign currencies and selling animals. Go and do that. We live in a free country. You are not forced to really be the president of the country because you don't enjoy this job.
Thank you for your time, President of Action SA, Mr. Herman Mashaba. So, one question, Jay, that I want to ask you before I let you go. What legacy would you like Action SA to leave behind?
You know, for me, it is my dream, it is my wish, and I pray every day to God to make it happen. I want, when I'm 90, my grandchildren, they must read in the books that their grandfather left his successful business, his privileged life, and decided when the country was in trouble to fight for it, and I created that prosperous South Africa. Because one thing I've realized is that a prosperous South Africa and ANC cannot coexist in one space. One of them has got to die. And it can't be South Africa, it's the ANC. So I want my children to say, you know what? My grandfather played this role of making sure that these two entities that could not coexist, one of them has that, and it's the ANC, and my grandfather played a role in that exercise.
We are 100% behind you. Thank you so much for your time once again. That was all we have for today's podcast Affirmation with Miss B. Do catch us again, and don't forget to subscribe. Bye for now.